Okay, today I'm gonna be ranking every NFL quarterback or 32 of the starting quarterbacks. So here's every quarterback that I'm gonna be ranking from 32 all the way up to 1. So at number 32, I'm gonna have Mac Jones. I think he's the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. Um, I think he's just mentally broken. He's gotten benched a couple of times for Bailey Zappi. He has what? He do 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 2,100 yards. I think his limitations as a quarterback finally caught up to him. He's not super athletic. His arm isn't super great, and he's just in a bad situation. And he put up some very bad stats. Um, so I have him as my worst quarterback. And then at number 31, I'm gonna put Desmond Ritter. What exactly does this guy do good? Like he doesn't put up very good stats. He's very below average. One of the worst passers. Has some really bad interceptions. He's athletic but not super athletic. Doesn't have a super talented arm. I'm not sure what exactly Desmond Ritter um, does well. So I'm gonna have him at 31. And then at number 30, I'm gonna have to put Bryce Young wherever he is. Bryce Young, he just had a really bad rookie season. He averaged like a really low yards per attempt, but he still didn't play that well. He had like 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Um, he just wasn't good. The team wasn't good, so I don't know if this all can blame on him. But his small stature definitely, um, I consider when putting him at 30. He's just I can't say he did much during his rookie year. And then at number 29, I'm gonna have to put this is gonna be Jimmy G, but in reality it's gonna be Aiden O'Connell. Aiden O'Connell played a few games. His stats weren't horrible. He had 2,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Those stats aren't bad, but he really didn't show much to me. He's similar to like Desmond Ritter. He's not super athletic, not super strong arm. I'm not sure what he brings, Aiden O'Connell, and he does do good under pressure, so that's one positive. But other than that, I don't know if he has that much potential. For 28, I'm gonna have to put Kenny Pickett. He was not good. He was like just not good. He was very uninspiring for the Steelers. He put up what 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and I think he actually had a losing record as a starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers this season, which is not good. He just voids the offense of an explosive play. He is sneakily athletic if he ever uses his legs, but he just was not good this season. Number 27, I'm going to have to put Sam Howell. This guy, at the beginning of the season to mid-season, he was lighting up the league, but he didn't even get to 4,000 passing yards at the end of the season. You know what, 3,900 yards, 21 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. He's collapsed during the second half. And I'm not sure if he can rebound from that. Once this team took away his strength, he just collapsed big time. So I have him at 27. And then number 26, I'm gonna have where you Daniel Jones. He regressed this season. He his running game, which was so good 2 years ago, disappeared once teams actually focused on it. He was never that good of a passer. And he wasn't this year. He regressed. He got injured. His injury history is definitely concerning. Um, and he does have a lot more talent than the quarterback below him, but he hasn't put any of his skills together yet. And then the number 25. I'm gonna have to put Will Levis. He had pretty good stats: 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He came into his first game against the Falcons, threw 4 touchdowns. He has an insanely strong arm, and sneakily athletic, and is really tough. And I think this tier, starting from Daniel Jones, are those quarterbacks that are really athletic, but are really raw. Will Levis, super duper raw, do some really bad, inaccurate passes, often late to his target. He definitely has to clean up some things, but his talent definitely blows quarterbacks below him away. So I'll have him at 25. And 24, the glass man himself, Anthony Richardson. When he played the first, 4 or so games, he actually definitely looked good. You can definitely tell his athleticism, similar to Will Levis, coming through. He's more athletic than Will Levis, so he can run. He has a really strong arm, and he looked good, but I just haven't seen enough, and I hope hopefully that injury history won't come back to bite him, because it's definitely not looking good for his injury history, but he definitely has the potential. Okay, then at number 23, I'm gonna put Deshaun Watson. I'm gonna put him really low because his injury history is even more concerning than Anthony Richardson. He had season-ending shoulder injury, and he's just looked so inconsistent since coming back. He has had a couple of good games, second half versus the Ravens, um, that game against the Commanders, and then one other game that I'm missing. But he's also had some really bad games, really bad plays. Um, against Cincinnati, he wasn't that good. Against Tennessee, he threw like a backward pass, and I think the Browns lost. I don't remember if they lost or not. He has not returned, and right now he's filled with rust. He definitely you can tell he definitely still has some of that Deshaun magic left. Um, and he has. I think he improved slightly this season and shaken off some of the rust, but I don't know if he'll ever return to being vintage Deshaun Watson. At number 22, I have Russell Wilson. What to say about Russell Wilson? His stats looked very good. 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, but he only threw 33,000 yards. That's not good, and a lot of his yards were checkdowns in the Sean Payne offense. Hollow stats, and Russell Wilson, I think his in his like less mobility is definitely causing problems. He's not reading the field good, and his short passing and accuracy has definitely declined. But he's still making occasionally some big Russell Wilson plays, and he's a smart veteran quarterback, so I do have him at 22. And 21, I'm gonna put Justin Fields. Definitely got better this season, but not sure by how much. Um, he couldn't. I'm most concerned about Justin Fields is him being a pocket passer. At the beginning of the season, they tried to make him a pocket passer, and he couldn't do that. But he can run around, he can scramble, he can make the big plays, and he can make every throw. I just wish that he would. I just wish that he definitely brush up on his form and learn how to be a pocket passer, because that's what he needs to improve. He gotta work on his weaknesses. And then at number 20, I have Derek Carr. Very Derek Carr-like season. He started, and when they were almost out of playoff contention, he put up some good stats. In the end of the season, he finished with 900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Very good stats, but for the most part of the season, he really did not look that good. Um, he, I don't know what to say about him, but he just did not look that good. So I have him at 20. Number 19, I'm going to have Geno Smith. He started off the year pretty hot, but then after his injury, he was still good, but he wasn't the same as he was last season. He's still a very good deep ball thrower, but he didn't really elevate his team as much this year as he did last year. And I think Geno Smith's legs are gone because he does not run the ball anymore. I wish he ran the ball more. But yeah, he definitely got rattled a little bit more, especially after his injury. So I'm going to have him at number 19. And number 18, I'm going to put Aaron Rodgers. I know way lower than other people, but this guy hasn't played good football in like 2 years. His last year at Green Bay, he really wasn't that good, taking way too many checkdowns and throwing some really inaccurate passes, and then he tore his Achilles. I can't put him anywhere in the top 15, so I have him at 18 right now. And then number 17, I'm gonna have to put Kyler Murray. He came back and didn't look. He came back, did not look that bad. After his injury, with 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Definitely looked like good old Kyler Murray without the rust, running, extending plays, making some insane throws, but also some of those limitations of him being short, being able to throw the short passing offensive lineman over offensive line definitely came around. So he's still a good, about average quarterback, but with his running ability, once he knocks off some of that more rust, I think he'll go up. But right now, I see him as an average quarterback who can make some insane throws, but definitely need to work a little bit in throwing in the pocket. And then at number 16, I believe at this point, I'm going to have Trevor Lawrence. He really had a down season this year. There are some times where he looked really bad, throwing really bad interceptions or just missing targets altogether. He finished with 4,000 yards, 21 touchdown, 14 interception. He just really didn't throw a ton of touchdowns. There were times where he looked like MVP. Definitely has all the tools to be MVP. He just had a really down season this year. Number 15, I'm gonna have to put Tua. Starting off the year, he was really hot. He was throwing the ball all over the place and deep. But as the season progressed, I think he started to play scared, and his limitations really showed through as well. He can't run, and he can't really extend the play, and he has a pretty weak arm. But he is really accurate. He is accurate, and if the play goes well, he can deliver and be a game manager. But he really has to work on extending plays and elevating the team if I want to put him anywhere near the top 10. And then number 14, I'm going to have Baker Mayfield. Definitely a very good season by Baker Mayfield. Yeah, like 28 touchdowns. And he led a Bucks team to a playoff victory. Similar to Tua, he was also throwing the ball all over the place, but he was also extending plays, and he looked like good old Baker. And then number 13, I'm going to have to put Jared Goff. Jared Goff wasn't bad this year, but he wasn't great either. He had a stretch where he threw a ton of interceptions, and he doesn't really elevate his team as much as I'd like, but he makes all the right decisions most of the time. And he can lead, and at times win Detroit Lions the game. They have he threw 4,600 yards, 30 touchdown, 12 interception. Put up good stats. I just don't see him, but he's no Mahomes or any team or any player like that. And number 12, I'm gonna put Jordan Love, who actually had the second most passing touchdowns. With 32 touchdowns and 11 interception, and he can actually run. Jordan Love has some really insane throwing motions, throws a lot of touchdowns, and he's a good quarterback. Definitely a young quarterback that sometimes gets jittery in the pocket and then loses his footing a little bit. Other than that, as long as he keeps adjusting and doesn't let the new defenses rattle him, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. Number 11, I'm going to put Brock Purdy. Oh, God. The only reason Brock Purdy's not in the top 10 is because he doesn't really play well versus good defenses against the Ravens, against the Niners, against the Vikings blitz-heavy defense. He really didn't play that well. But against other defenses, he just is surgical. When the Shanahan offense is working, he is surgical. He puts up some insane stats. 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. When he is on, but when he's off, he can throw 4 interceptions. Number 10, I'm going to put Jalen Hurts. Passing wise, he was actually kind of below average. Only 23 passing touchdown, 15 interception, 3,800 yards. But his running, he did have 15 rushing touchdowns. Definitely a down year, but I think injuries caused him to decline in his running a little bit. But Jalen Hurts, I still think he's very good. He's definitely one of the dual threat quarterbacks. He has a decently okay NFL minimum caliber arm. But he definitely has to work on his throwing a little bit more if I want to put him any higher. Number 9, Matthew Stafford. His stats definitely were not the greatest, but I think he was better than his stats. His 4,000 yards, his 24 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. He definitely played better than that, especially late in the season. Really strong arm. He always has a really strong arm. He doesn't show any signs of being rusty anytime soon, and he's pretty much the same Matthew Stafford at the Lions, except with a better team. Number 8, Kirk Cousins. 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, was leading the Vikings to a 4-4 record. He's a true field general, throwing to everybody, staying in the pocket. This is probably Kirk Cousins' best season before he got injured, so I'll have him at 8. And then number 7, I'm gonna have CJ Stroud. Where are you? There you are, CJ Stroud. Got there. Insane rookie season, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He only had like 1 or 2 bad games against the Panthers in the game where he threw 3 interceptions. Other than that, he was throwing it deep into tight coverage and dotting people up. He didn't let the pressure rattled him, and he was just everything you want him to be, everything he was at Ohio State and better. And he elevated the team and led them to a playoff spot. He does have to throw the ball sooner. He did take a couple of untimely sacks, but other than that, he's very good. And then number 6, I'm gonna put Justin Herbert. Before he got injured, he was actually having a decent season with 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Similar to Stroud, he was just dotting people all over the place with a super strong arm. He just wasn't leading his team to victories. That's pretty much the only blemish on him. And number 5, yes, I'm gonna put Dak Prescott in the top 5. This season he was insane. I feel like an underrated ability of his is his ability to extend plays. More so than to me, I think he's better at extending the play than Herbert or Stroud. Um, he definitely has the arm talent. He can run. Like similar to Herbert, he just needs to get over that hump and win them like to an NFC Championship. That's pretty much it for me. He had insane stats. What, 36 touchdowns, only 9 interceptions, 4,500 yards. That's or insane stats. Number 4, I'm gonna have Joe Burrow on number 4. His first 3 or 4 games were horrible. He like 2 touchdowns, 4 interception, but afterward he started heating up, becoming the gunslinger he is. But Joe Burrow, the only reason I'm not putting him in the top to his injury history is really concerning right now. So I have him at number 4. Number 3, I'm gonna put the MVP winner in Lamar Jackson. Only reason I actually don't put him higher is because he heated up down the stretch, but early on he really wasn't that effective, and his arm was good, but it's not amazing or anything. His arm is like maybe top 15, top 12 maybe, but at least his legs, even though he didn't use it as much, his legs were super effective this year. So I have him at number 3, and combine his top 12, top 13 arm versus his like number 1 legs. He has a number 3 NFL quarterback. And then number 2, Josh Allen. He accounted for what, 44 touchdowns, 4,300 yards just through passing. Great at extending plays. Great at um, just super strong arm, both deep and intermediate and short zipping passes in there. Only blemish on him is he throws a lot of interceptions, has a lot of turnovers, 18 interceptions, even like 5, 6, 7 fumbles. And I know a lot of people want Josh Allen as a MVP, but the reason I wouldn't put him as the MVP is because his team won more when he was less involved in the game plan. The reason the Bills went 5-0 down the stretch was because they wanted Josh Allen to do less. That an MVP for you? And number 1, I have Patrick Mahomes. Statistically, not the best season for him, but he turned it on in the playoffs. In the regular season, he only had like 27 touchdowns, 14 interception, but in the playoffs, he was clutch. He was finding open wide receivers. He was checking it down when he needed to, and he's just the best quarterback in the NFL right now. So there you have my NFL quarterback rankings.